The iconic American flag features 13 stripes, alluding to the original 13 colonies, 50 stars representing each state in the Union, and a carefully chosen color scheme of red for hardiness and valor, white ironically symbolizing both purity and valor, and blue representing vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Although admirers won't locate a currency symbol or green hue, capitalism has etched its permanent dollar sign into the United States' unique flag. A key piece of evidence left in the money trail is Bank of America's prominent standing as a jolly greenback giant of the global banking industry. The total assets of Bank of America amounted to approximately $2.43 trillion in 2019. In the same year, the bank reported a net income of $27.4 billion. These lofty astronomical numbers paint the silver, gold, and green picture for the sixth wealthiest bank in the world, second behind Wells Fargo, excluding China. But as the saying goes, Rome was not built in a day, and neither was Bank of America's considerable fortune. This two-part video series highlights the thrills and spills on the long, gold-paved road to achieving such success. Today, Bank of America enjoys the results that awaited at the finish line, and if you enjoyed this video, express a small token of gratitude by clicking the like button after it concludes. Bank of America's story begins almost parallel to America's. Although America savored the fresh flavor of freedom in 1784, Uncle Sam didn't sit at the head of the table when feasting. The patriotic patriarch still had to perform banking activities through merchants managed by the Bank of England. And as all young adults and countries know, not achieving financial autonomy precludes independence. Local Boston merchants worked to relieve this excruciating growing pain. The prescription entailed a proposal to establish an independent bank. Although his name elicits sophomoric snickering, the then Massachusetts governor, John Hancock's role in the completion process was no laughing matter. He applied his iconic signature to the document, establishing the Massachusetts Bank. This institution holds the distinction of being Bank of America's oldest heritage bank, the first joint stock-owned bank in the United States, and the second bank to receive a federal charter. The first Bank of the United States in Philadelphia was the first. In the country where baseball became America's pastime in the following century, it's no surprise that Bank of America came out swinging. The scene of the crime was 1814 in Washington, D.C. That year, the Bank of Metropolis, also one of Bank of America's oldest heritage banks, started, and so did the infamous inferno that engulfed Washington, D.C., now known as the Burning of Washington. Despite the Bank of Metropolis's name, Superman was, of course, nowhere to be found. Fortunately, not all heroes need protruding muscles or capes. Boarding house owner Barbara Sutter compensated for Kent's absence. She didn't use ice breath to save the day, rather exhaling the intentionally false information that the actual public Bank of Metropolis was in fact a private enterprise. The white lie saved the enterprise from the white flames sparked by British Major General Robert Ross's command. Since he operated under strict orders to leave private entities alone, he spared the institution when Sarah Sweeney corroborated the private entity's story. After the War of 1812 concluded and the British troops left, the Bank of Metropolis agreed to provide the U.S. government with funding to aid in the rebuilding of Washington, D.C. The small loan of $100,000 was enough to fully fund 1/5 of the capital's reconstruction. Transitioning from fire to water didn't extinguish Bank of America's heritage impact. The Erie Canal, started in 1817 and opened in 1825. Due to its state-of-the-art engineering, possibilities opened in economics and travel. Thanks to the intensive manpower required to complete such a feat, many refer to the canal as the eighth wonder of the world. What paid for the construction breeds no wonderment, however, as it was financed in part by Bank of America Heritage Bank, the State Bank of Albany. Beginning in the 1840s, New England Bank of America Heritage Bank, Shawmut Bank, made strong connections to regional textile companies. The connections intertwined Lowell, Massachusetts, America's first planned factory town, with innovation in the textile industry. Shawmut Bank board member William H. Wellington eventually served as director of Boot Mills, Lowell's first textile mill. The original operation of the mills ran off of hydropower from a 34-foot waterfall. The mill complex consisted of 4 gable-roofed brick buildings. One floor of the Boot Cotton Mills was reserved for the weave room, which was filled with industrial-grade looms running at top speed, blasting out the roar of industry for Lowell to champion. Every day, ranging from 10 to 14 hours, the roar of clanking, rumbling machinery, rushing water wheels, and turbines permeated production. These loud power looms facilitated the transformation of raw cotton into finished fabric within a single factory. Over time, more mills expanded upon the Merrimack River, and canals were dug to provide transportation and to divert hydroelectric power to the factories. The Shawmut Bank helped finance such activities that inspired further development in factory efficiency, leading to great achievement of economics of scale. Bank of America's heritage banks augmented a city that never stopped production. It's no surprise the institution's ancestors didn't sleep on the job when financing projects for the city that never sleeps. I probably don't need to remind you of the importance railroad transportation's development carries from a historical travel and logistics standpoint. What you may not know is the role Bank of America Private Bank, originally known as the United States Trust Company of New York, played in coordinating massive railroad construction. 10 individual companies forming unrelated tracks consolidated into the New York Central Railroad in 1855. The world-famous railroad was headquartered in New York City. United States Trust Company of New York served as a corporate trustee for transactions during the consolidation. It undertook administrative duties, processing, and record-keeping for all securities involved. High-profile players in this high-stakes game of railroad tycoon included International Paper Corporation, United States Steel Corporation, and railroads such as Illinois Central, Union Pacific, and Baltimore and Ohio. Securities issued by the United States Trust Company of New York and its corporate clients financed a large portion of the railroad's eventual 11,825-mile construction. As this video chugs along, we've discussed digging through the earth, eluding fire, and the wonders of waterways and hydroelectricity. What about wind? Bank of America's history leaves its imprint on that element too, via aiding the Windy City. Due to banks printing non-uniform currency, unsecured by bank assets, national bank stability declined prior to the Civil War and inevitably imploded as war progressed. Chicago suffered painful assaults on affluence. In fact, 85% of Illinois banks failed in 1862. The confusing whirlwind of uneven banknotes swept the whole country. Bank of America's first heritage bank in Chicago, the Merchant Saving Loan and Trust Company, halted the hurricane. A penny for the bank's first president, John Dunham's thoughts, would have bought the idea of a coin-operated change of profitable pace. He led an all-out effort to conduct all Chicago business in fiat money, money backed by the government, which lends to stability as long as the economy and government structure survives. All transactions were to be conducted with coins. The move succeeded. Lincoln followed the lucrative lead, spearheading the passing of the National Banking Acts of 1863 and 1864, which created the first government-secured national currency we commonly call greenbacks. Now known for its financial solution prowess, Chicago had the most banks in America after the war and tripled in factory and human population the following decade. Cubs and Cardinals fans vehemently disagree on many things, but those who know as much about history as hits realize Bank of America's heritage banks saved both cities. Long before the Gateway Arch dazzled onlookers and emitted an aura of vibrance to the iconic city, St. Louis survived volatile beginnings. Eventual St. Louis councilman George Knight Budd hailed from East Coast wealth and South American travels, elected to start a merchandise store in St. Louis. He noticed many workers were wayward boatmen working on the Mississippi River. Many chose splendor over savings, drinking, gambling, womanizing, and ultimately leading a life that would plunge them from working on the Mississippi River to living in a van down by the river. Budd's solution was to start the appropriately named Boatmen's Saving Institution, Missouri's first independent bank. The goal was to reappropriate the working class's money into appreciable assets like homes and goods, using capital circulated in St. Louis. Reserving Fridays for female financial literacy supplemented the cause, a unique feature for the time, especially when women couldn't open up bank accounts until 1960. The bank experienced rocky beginnings, but ultimately grew to become Missouri's largest bank, and its guidance helped St. Louis go from excruciation to elation. Bank of America's oldest heritage bank in California, the Farmers and Merchants Bank, joined the group that provided the land for the University of Southern California. Education breeds economic opportunity, and when the new Santa Fe Railroad and Southern Pacific's competition drove train fares to $1 from major Midwest cities to LA, the situation went from boom to kaboom when railroad overexpansion and financial issues led to the Panic of 1893. A man named Isaiah Hellman ended the economic spiral by stacking $500,000 in gold coins on the Farmers and Merchant bank counter for all to see. Now equipped with ample funds, the bank financed industrial activities that stimulated the economy. I hope you found this mile-long walk down memory lane mentally stimulating. If so, click the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more business-related content, including profiles such as this. In a future video, we'll cover the rise and fall of Bank of America through the 20th and 21st century. For now, stay smart and stay safe, everyone.